Jungles have been used as hiding grounds since the dawn of mankind. It's a palace of wonder and terror. But what happens when explorers and scientists push deep into these feral frontiers, only to find things that mock logic, defy science, and shake belief itself? From a river hotter than boiling that scalds anything that touches it, to a cryptic structure that surfaced from nowhere, these are 15 of the most bone-chilling discoveries ever found in the depths of the jungle. Number 15. Maracoxy. Back in 1914, British explorer and thrill chaser Colonel Percy Fawcett ventured deep into South America's untamed jungle, which was basically a charting region few outsiders had seen. There, he claimed he had seen the Maracoxy. It's technically a gigantic, hairy humanoid creature that is said to dwell north of the Maubay tribe. These beasts are described as towering brutes, nearly 12 feet tall, and they communicated through guttural sounds and displayed intense aggression toward outsiders. Despite their beast-like look, Fawcett believed they were intelligent, capable of using bows, arrows, and living in organized settlements. In his book, Lost Trails, Lost Cities, he described a chilling moment when he and his team nearly became victims of a Maracoxy ambush, only escaping by firing shots into the ground to scare them off. His 1925 expedition to locate a lost city ended in his mysterious disappearance. Some believed he starved or was killed by hostile tribes, while others speculated the Maracoxy might have been responsible. His fate remains unsolved, and the legend of the Maracoxy continues to haunt the jungle's edge. Number 14. The vampire tree. Researchers in New Zealand, back in the days of 2019, discovered something bizarre, a tree stump that refused to die. Typically, when a tree is cut down, the stump decays and disconnects from the forest. But this one stayed alive, drawing water and nutrients without any visible foliage. It was once part of a towering kauri tree, now just a lifeless stump, yet thriving. After digging deeper, scientists uncovered an underground root system linking it to surrounding trees. The stump had tapped into its neighbor's roots, effectively siphoning off what it needed. During the night, when the other trees weren't using as much water, the stump absorbed enough to survive. Nicknamed the vampire tree, it turned a lifeless base into a living parasite. But it also revealed something profound. Trees may operate less as individuals and more as a shared network. This discovery pointed to forests behaving as single organisms, connected by invisible lifelines beneath the soil, sharing, adapting, and keeping each other alive, even after death. Number 13. The Darien Gap. The Darien Gap is a ruthless stretch of dense jungle and swamp between Panama and Colombia. It is notoriously brutal to cross and steeped in a dark, unsettling past. For decades, travelers have vanished or died trying to pass through, and many believe their restless souls still drift beneath the forest canopy. The indigenous Embera people, who've inhabited this region for generations, believe the spirits of the dead still roam the gap, heard in the unnatural stillness and rustling leaves after dusk. They avoid certain trails, fearing malevolent entities hidden just beyond the trees. But spirits aren't the only threat here. The gap is a stronghold for armed rebels, drug smugglers, and traffickers who exploit the region's isolation to evade capture. It's lawless, chaotic, and lethal. Jaguars stalk the undergrowth, venomous snakes coil through the trees, and diseases like dengue and malaria spread fast. Yet despite it all, some still enter the Darien Gap, driven by obsession, foolishness, or the desperate need to prove they can survive. Number 12. Alien Caterpillar. While exploring a wooded area in Texas, Danica DeCosto came across something deeply unsettling, an insect-like creature with a strangely human-like face. It resembled a caterpillar at first glance, but its facial features were unusually expressive, almost intelligent. It barely moved, yet clearly showed signs of life. Most disturbing was the faint moaning sound it emitted, eerily similar to a baby's cry. As if that wasn't enough, the creature had 6 limbs, each ending in finger-like structures far more developed than any known caterpillar appendages. Danica recorded the encounter and shared the video, igniting fierce debate. Some viewers found it fascinating, others called it nightmare fuel. No entomologist could definitively classify it. While rare caterpillars like the hickory-horned devil or elephant hawk moth exist, none exhibit humanoid traits or vocalizations. Whether it was a genetic anomaly, a mutated species, or something entirely unknown, one thing's certain: nothing about the encounter felt normal. Number 11. Sistine Chapel of the Ancients. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, a huge cliff face revealed one of the most extraordinary Ice Age art galleries ever uncovered. Nicknamed the Sistine Chapel of the Ancients, this rock wall is covered in tens of thousands of paintings, some dating back over 12,000 years. These ancient images portray now extinct animals like mastodons, giant ground sloths, and prehistoric horses that once roamed South America. Their inclusion helps archaeologists estimate the artwork's age, offering insight into a time shaped by glacial climates and megafauna. Among the visuals are countless human handprints, possibly left by those who created this ancient canvas. The level of detail shows a deep bond between early humans and their environment, possibly spiritual in nature. What's remarkable is how long this vast site remained hidden. Only in 2019 did researchers finally reach it, concealed in a remote part of Colombia's Chiribiquete National Park. Its isolation helped preserve this ancient legacy, a vivid window into life at the edge of prehistory. Number 10. Flesh-eating parasite. In 2011, explorers in Honduras's remote Mosquitia region made an eerie discovery. They uncovered what they believed to be the remnants of a lost city, possibly the legendary White City. But the ruins weren't the most terrifying part of the expedition. Shortly after, many team members, including writer Douglas Preston, developed a rare flesh-eating parasitic infection. The culprit was Leishmania brasiliensis, a parasite spread by sandflies that targets skin and mucous membranes. The disease began eroding tissue around their lips and noses, requiring urgent medical intervention. Preston later detailed the ordeal in his book, describing how some team members nearly lost parts of their faces. If untreated, the infection can become fatal. Meanwhile, their camp had become overrun with venomous snakes at night, adding to the already perilous situation. Finally, the group withdrew, haunted not just by what they'd seen, but by what had invaded their bodies. Whatever legends surround the lost city, this find is scary. Number 9. The Naka Cave. The Naka Cave in the rainforest near Bueng Kan, which is a province along Thailand's border with Laos, is considered one of the region's most captivating geological sites. It's commonly referred to as the Snake Cave because of its coiling rock formations that resemble the massive body of a serpent. These natural shapes have inspired countless local folktales and spiritual beliefs. One legend tells of a serpent king turned to stone as punishment. Another speaks of a Naga princess, cursed after falling in love with a human prince, her body forming the cavernous curves seen today. Scientists, however, point to natural weathering and tectonic pressure. They say the patterns, resembling scales, were created as ancient stone layers cracked and shifted over tens of thousands of years. The resemblance to reptilian skin is entirely coincidental, yet hauntingly precise. Beyond the myths and science, Naka Cave remains a place where belief and natural wonder intersect, where stone tells stories no one alive remembers firsthand. Number 8. Mysterious Earth and Ring. In 2014, scientists exploring the Brazilian Amazon found a pattern of ancient earthworks hidden beneath dense jungle foliage, perfectly shaped circles, squares, and straight ditches. These massive geoglyphs predate the rainforest itself, defying long-held assumptions about the region's history. The structure's original purpose remains unclear, but experts have proposed various theories. Some suggest they were fortified enclosures for defense, while others argue they served as complex irrigation systems, possibly designed to manage seasonal flooding. Another possibility is that they held ceremonial significance, working as spiritual or communal gathering places. What's especially revealing is how these earthworks challenge previous assumptions about indigenous life in the Amazon. For years, researchers believed early inhabitants had minimal impact on the land. But this discovery suggests otherwise, showing signs of advanced landscape engineering, careful planning, and possibly even urban-scale settlement. These ancient earthworks point to a legacy of innovation and ecological balance, hidden for centuries under the forest floor, quietly rewriting Amazonian history in silence. Number 7. Marigot whale. In 2019, scientists found a dead humpback whale, stranded far from any coastline, lying in dense vegetation on Marigot Island. Well, it's hard to believe, but that actually happened, and you can Google it. Local researchers were initially alerted by vultures circling overhead. Upon arrival, they expected to find a decomposing land animal, not a 10-ton ocean mammal. The location was inexplicable. There were no drag marks, machinery, or any sign that it had been moved. One theory suggested a storm surge swept the whale inland, but humpbacks aren't typically found near shorelines. They're migratory giants, traveling thousands of kilometers across deep waters between feeding and breeding grounds. So how did one end up in the jungle? Some proposed tidal displacement or a rare current anomaly. Others leaned toward more outlandish ideas, ranging from sonic disorientation to even alien interference. While the actual cause remains unknown, the whale's presence in the Amazon raised more questions than answers, reminding us that sometimes nature writes stories stranger than anything we're ready to believe. Number 6. Trapped mangrove. In 2021, scientists in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula found a thriving red mangrove forest over 125 kilometers inland from the nearest coast. This shouldn't have been possible. Mangroves usually grow in salty tidal waters, yet this forest had adapted to a freshwater environment. Located along the San Pedro Martyr River, this ecosystem had been hiding in plain sight, tucked deep within a river basin. Researchers dated the ecosystem to over 100,000 years, meaning the forest likely predates current sea levels. It's believed that during the last interglacial period, sea levels were high enough to flood this area, allowing mangroves to settle. When the waters receded, they adapted, surviving entirely in freshwater. This ancient stand of trees challenges what scientists thought possible about plant survival and coastal evolution. Its isolation created a time capsule, untouched, enduring, and biologically unique. The forest remains a living relic of a forgotten coastline, quietly rewriting what we thought we knew about resilience in nature. Number 5. Dolls Island. Julian Santana Barrera abandoned city life to live alone on a small island in Xochimilco, Mexico. One day, he found a young girl's body floating in the canal. Troubled by what he believed were paranormal encounters afterward, Julian began hanging dolls in trees to calm her restless spirit. It started with one, then another, until the island was draped in decaying, glass-eyed toys scavenged from trash heaps or found drifting in the water. To outsiders, the sight was disturbing. But for Julian, every doll was a peace offering. Over the decades, the island morphed into a haunting shrine. In 2001, Julian was found dead in the same canal where the girl had been discovered, fueling rumors that the spirit had claimed him. Today, Isla de las Muñecas still stands, covered in weather-worn dolls with twisted faces and staring eyes. Locals speak of whispers in the dark, Whether haunted or not, this island is not a tourist spot, but a deadly trap. Number 4. Cabin in the Woods. In 2015, veteran environmental scientist Mark Andre stumbled onto something strange deep inside California's Arcata Community Forest. After decades of marking trees in the region, he was returning to resurvey an old site, only to find a structure he swore hadn't existed before. Hidden among the trees stood a compact, well-built cabin, expertly camouflaged. Startled, Andre contacted a park ranger to investigate. Inside, they discovered a fully stocked, functional space, shelves with supplies, a bed frame, and even a small wood-burning stove. Whoever lived there had done so in secret and with meticulous care. There were no roads, no clear paths, no sign of how or when it was built. Officials eventually dismantled the cabin, but its origin remained a mystery. Was it a survivalist's retreat, a hermit's hideout, or something stranger? No one knows. To this day, locals still talk about the unexplained cabin. So what do you think about it? Number 3. Zombie ant. Deep in Brazil's rainforest, an unsettling process unfolds, as if nature itself engineered a horror story. It begins with an unsuspecting carpenter ant carrying out its routine. A microscopic spore from the parasitic fungus Ophiocordyceps unilateralis lands on its body, infiltrating and spreading inside. Once embedded, the fungus hijacks the ant's nervous system using chemical signals, overriding its instincts. Controlled entirely, the ant climbs to a high stem, latches onto it with a death grip, and eventually dies. From the corpse, the fungus continues to grow, sprouting a stalk through the head that releases more spores into the air. This grim cycle repeats, creating new hosts. Scientists refer to these infected hosts as zombie ants. What makes it especially disturbing is how precisely the fungus controls behavior, forcing ants to die in locations optimal for fungal reproduction. It's a terrifying reminder that parasitism in nature can go far beyond feeding. It can turn its victim into a vessel, stripped of will. Number 2. Michael Rockefeller disappearance. In 1961, 23-year-old Michael, son of U.S. Vice President Nelson Rockefeller, journeyed to New Guinea after graduating from Harvard. Eager to study tribal culture and collect indigenous artwork, Michael visited 13 villages, documenting customs and gathering artifacts. During a boat expedition with Dutch anthropologist René Wassing, disaster struck. Their vessel capsized roughly 10 miles offshore. With no rescue in sight, Michael made a fateful decision. He would swim for land. "I think I can make it," he said, before diving into the sea. He was never seen again. Some believe he drowned during the crossing, but others claim he reached the Asmat shore, only to be captured by the tribe, who were known for headhunting and ritual cannibalism. Despite searches and investigations, no conclusive trace was ever found. His disappearance remains one of the most haunting unsolved cases of the 20th century. Whether he died in the ocean or met a darker fate inland, Michael Rockefeller's story remains clouded in shadow. Number 1. The Hanging Coffins of Sagada. This town in the misty mountain jungles of northern Philippines holds one of the country's most haunting burial customs, the hanging coffins. For over 400 years, locals have suspended wooden coffins inside caves or perched them on towering cliff faces. They believe placing their dead higher brings them closer to the spirits of ancestors and the heavens. Elders traditionally carved their own coffins before death, preparing for their final resting place. The deceased were positioned in the fetal posture, symbolizing a return to life's beginning. Processions were unusual. Bodies were carried in blankets, shaped like a ball, symbolizing the circle of life. Oddly enough, if any bodily fluids landed on mourners during the ceremony, it was seen as a sign of good fortune, despite the health risks. Though other regions share this tradition, it's Sagada that made it sacred. Their practice honors not just the dead, but the living's link to them, a sacred rite that still shapes the cliffs today. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and we'll see you soon in the next one.